Hello everyone! I have been working on AI music for the last couple of months. And while I've been working on that, I published a lot of things on social media. Most of the things were just screenshots and a couple of comments from my side. Recently I asked people, well, would you like to see some work in progress? And well, here it is, AI music generation work in progress. If you like to keep yourself updated about my AI music endeavors, and please be so kind, connect with me. You'll find me on LinkedIn and on Twitter and a little on Instagram and of course here on YouTube. AI music generation work in progress. It has to do with, well, what I am working on or what I have been working on for quite some time now, for a couple of years. I'm like Batman and Bruce Wayne. So on my daily work, I'm an AI hands-on advisor. So I help people, I help companies to create products that include some sort of deep learning. And also I'm a very passionate and I'm also a very creative person. I'm working steadily to use artificial intelligence to augment my own productivity and creativity. Before I will show you the work in progress itself, a tool that I will use for composing, I have to tell you more about the motivation. And the motivation is Hexagon Machine. Hexagon Machine is my band. So it's me and a couple of artificial intelligences. And together we have been working steadily on creating music that is augmented by artificial intelligence. Don't get me wrong. It's not AI generated music. So it's not me pushing a button and there will be an entire song. No, it's an man-machine collaboration. So I work together with artificial intelligences to compose and to produce music. Hexagon Machine is the band that I founded in 2021. So I was between projects. I had some time on my hand. I was very motivated to dig deeper into the deep learning for music aspect. And then I decided, well, okay, now it's Easter. I have time. Let's take one of the many ideas that I had on my shelf, take it out of the shelf and implement it. So my big question was like, what is necessary? How much does it cost? How much energy, sweat, tears, and maybe AWS credits if I would like to have an album on Spotify that has been composed with AI. I started on Easter 2021 with the idea, and then I had to gather a data set. I had to pre-process the entire data set. I had to train a deep neural network, a transformer on the music that I've gathered. Then I took this transformer and turned it into a tool that I could use for composing. I remember that the first tool was actually a huge collection of widgets in a Jupyter notebook. And then I slowly moved towards web applications, as I will show you quite soon. I used this tool that I've developed back then, and then I created an entire album called Robot Uprising that you will find definitely on Spotify and everywhere else. And it took me around 50 days, start to finish. So start is I have the idea, and finish is I have the album on Spotify. So on Pentecost 2021, the album Robot Uprising by Hexagon Machine was on Spotify, including everything. Including 12 songs that I had to produce, including the entire concept behind the band, the name of the band, the track names, the album cover artwork, and so on and so forth. The second album that I have released in that year, again under the name of Hexagon Machine, took me around about 2 weeks for the whole production part. The third album took 3 months because I didn't work full-time on it. I just maybe worked on it a little on the weekend. And what you see here, Hexagon Machine Technosis, check it out on all platforms, is my newest album that, well, we have released this year under the label Dance Macabre Records. So please give it a chance, have a listen to it. You find it on Spotify and other streaming platforms. This is a good example of human musical creativity augmented by artificial intelligence. So coming back to the task at hand, work in progress. So I am in the mood of creating the next album number 5. I already have a couple of concepts in my head, so a couple of things that I would like to explore. And usually when I start a new album, there's either a good portion of doing deep learning, like creating a new model, and also working on the tool set. As I mentioned, the first tool was a Jupyter notebook, and then I went into web programming. Still, I'm also thinking about integrating it with a digital audio workstation like Ableton or Logic or Cubase. I'm not there yet, so I'm working also towards that. But well, so many things that I would love to do, but I'm also, well, I'm already constrained in time because of all the fancy things that I'm doing. So my plan is to create a new album, and to that end, I developed the concept. I also trained a new model with a new data set with a different encoding. I also took this model and turned it into a new application, a new web application that I created from scratch. So basically everything that I did before that, I put it back on a shelf, and then I created a new application. Well, this is why you're here, right? To see AI music generation in action. Let me show you. This is where everything starts. Visual Studio Code. This is what I've been working on, the entire code base. On the left side, you see a lot of source code. Most of the source code is actually JavaScript. There's also a good portion of Python in it, and HTML and CSS. So on an everyday basis, I have to go through all these different programming and scripting and styling languages. Well, what about just starting the tool? Because, well, you might not be that interested in me showing you around this entire source code base. If you're interested, let me know in the comments, then I will have a lot of fun just browsing through the code and giving you a couple of ideas that maybe things you would like to do when you're working on your own projects. Starting the thing, very easy, just start the server itself. It's a Flask server, so you Python guys might know this. It's very straightforward, a very simple web application that exposes a lot of HTML code. And now I can open it in my browser of choice, which happens to be the Firefox. So this is the composer. Nothing to see yet because this is black. This is just a blank canvas, tabula rasa. No music in here yet. So it's just blank, no idea, nothing yet. One thing that I'd like to mention before I show you the actual composing functionality, I'm a huge fan of content before Chrome. So when I work, I usually make sure that the content is there, which in my software engineering efforts means that I have all the functionality up and running, all the features that I would love to see in my tool or product or application that I'm working on. And then I will spend some time on the Chrome part. Chrome, not the web browser, but well, how it looks like, the visual aspects, the whole styling and designing the application itself beyond the functionality. So this is, again, work in progress, very straightforward visuals. I still have to do a lot of design work. Again, this is empty. So what I would usually do is maybe I'll seek some inspiration from the AI and I would ask it to generate some drums for me. Yeah, a very simple, but I think also very effective drum track. So you see everything that you need, just a rhythm base of everything that we, well, it's just a rhythm base. And you saw me, maybe you heard or saw it clicking, and then a second later you already saw this drum track here. What happened is that, well, it all runs locally as a web server on my MacBook Pro. And this MacBook Pro hosts the deep learning model, which is a PyTorch model. It's a transformer, and it runs the model locally. It's not hosted somewhere on a cloud. It's not even running on a dedicated GPU. It runs on the MacBook Pro's CPU. So it's quite fast, which allows me to do a lot of exploration in the whole musical domain. So I'm very happy about that, well, you have very, very small latency. Well, these are the drums. Let us continue. Next, of course, I'm interested in guitar. Let's add a guitar. Okay, definitely goes in a certain direction. So we now have two tracks, a drum track and a guitar track. You see power chords here, and you're also a little helper for me. You can see here the note distribution in the entire composition. So which notes do we have and how are they distributed? Cool, so we have drums and we have guitar. So next thing would be a bass. Let's add a bass. Cool. This is And Justice for All again. So let's listen to this bass line independently. Okay, so 4 bars, 3 instruments. What you can see here, there are a few more of those instruments. So let me go and create some piano track. Let's listen to it in solo. So you see, it's rather independent. Cool, so this may be a good start. Okay, let's listen to this again. I'm very excited about this one. So what you've seen so far is I can create a lot of tracks. What would be next is, well, how to extend this. Those are just 4 bars. There are so many things that you can do. For example, I might choose to just add another bar to the right side. Interesting. So it goes in a certain direction. Maybe this is something like a bridge going into something else. Let's listen to this independently. So sounds like a break, but maybe I don't want to have a break here. Maybe I still want to focus on those first 4 bars. So I'll decide to remove that one. Okay, cool. And now I have this fancy tool here. And this tool is just clone it. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars. And it's the same pattern, the same 4 bars at the beginning to repeat themselves. So many things that I can do. Maybe I would like to change these things. So it's another button where I can turn this into an independent track. Or independent part. I think part is the name that I gave to it. So we now have 2 identical parts. Both of them have 4 bars. So maybe I decide to do the following. I have a nice riff here. I have a nice accompaniment. Maybe I'll decide to do the following. Now they are red. These are not used for composition. So if I compose something, it's all based on the green things. So if I choose to maybe continue the riff here, so you hear that this riff goes into a certain different direction. Now we have a little dissonance because now the other tracks are not based on that. So maybe they are not harmonically sound, but it's an easy way to fix this. So I turn this one back on and I just recreate it. Got a little better. Still, the piano is out of tune. So what I'm going to do it, this one gets reactivated. I'll redo everything. So you see and you hear it's back in tune. Listen to the first ones again. And the second one. So maybe this is just some intermediate section, something that we put in the middle and then maybe go back to the first 4 bars that we've seen. Let's just continue this exercise. I'm very excited about this one. So let's clone it. And what about we split it again? So another 4 bars. And while we're here, I don't care about this one. I don't care about that one. So we keep all of these things intact, but maybe I'll try the following, that I would disable this one. Now keep it intact, then add another one. let's change things slightly. First, I would like to have different drums here, so make it a little bit more intensive. Note density is the magic word. So I'd like to increase the note density, and for the time being, I will ignore, at least in the composition, the riff that we're having right now. So let's recreate those 4 bars here. So what the AI is trying to do is that it has something like a section going from here to there. So something like it's moving into something else. So maybe in order to complete this, we have this one and that one here and this one. We'll clone this to the end. So we now have 2 bars that are something like moving to something, and then we have something that lives here. And the something that lives here, so maybe we'll go down in note density here. And then we go up in note density there. I'm just doing an experiment here. It goes activated again. And this is something that we kept from before. Maybe we will just recreate everything starting from here. So you see where we're heading. So we have this tiny little piece, which is very compatible to what we have seen before. And then we have something that goes in a completely new direction. So we can, I think, just remove this one. Let's add the bass. So I will leave this transition intact, not change it that much. So it's not so many instruments. I have this one where I would like to add maybe, let's go back to the piano. And maybe while we are here, gonna add some more strings. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. We already have quite a lot of material. Beginning is we have this one. Followed by this part. Then we have this transition. And then this, which might be something like a chorus maybe. So cool. So what do you think might happen next? So next thing would be, well, there's a MIDI export, which allows me to download everything as MIDI files. And then I will use those MIDI files in my digital audio workstation and produce this. So in a nutshell, so what I'm using here is artificial intelligence to get quite a lot of musical ideas. Here is a dialogue happening. So it's a back and forth that I can ask the AI, please come up with guitar track, come up with a drum track that fits the guitar track, please change the guitar track, maybe change the last bar of the guitar track, use more notes, use less notes. You get it. So many things that I can do. So this is something like a perpetual prompt engineering. When you work with ChatGPT, it's always you putting in stuff via the keyboard in natural language. Here, it's more like musical language, and the interaction is mapped to buttons, where effectively I would push a button and the prompt would be changed in the back end. It would generate something, and this something is usually a piece of music, and this comes back to the front end, and then you can hear it. Still similar to ChatGPT because it's a dialogue back and forth, but you don't see the actual dialogue that happens under the hood. It works with musical data, musical tokens, which you will already see represented in something like a musical representation that maybe you know from your digital audio workstation. These are so-called piano rolls. You'll see the music from the left to the right and the pitches from the bottom to the top. So it's a fairly visual representation of the music that you can hear when pushing a button. I will continue working on this tool. So I'm happy that you watched this video here. I will still implement a couple of features, but I already have this feeling of saturation that when it comes to the musical creativity, I already have all the atomic features, all the atomic operations up and running, which will help me produce the next Hexagon Machine album. Well, that's that. Thank you very much. If you have any questions about what you're seeing here, what's the background behind that? How did I work? What did I do? Maybe you find something here that you find interesting. Maybe you just love the tune. Let me know in the comments. Until then, have a nice day. Bye bye.